basically group of Jewish philosophers. So I read them, their readings, they are very interesting. They were basically inspired by Al-Farabi. After that, there is the time of excuse me, Renaissance, which was basically not only a philosophic movement, that was a cultural movement, and started from Italy, and then even all of the Western Europe was the part of it. But philosophy was also, and the science, the modern science, its commencement was also the part of it. So people like Spinoza, who was a Jewish philosopher, or he is called as even a mystic one, a mystic philosopher. I read him, and there are a lot of very interesting things in Spinoza's writings. Then the Descartes, the most influential person that we can say of the modern European history and the European thought, that is Descartes in 16th century. And I would also say that the concept of skepticism and dualism, whether we accept it or not, whether we are agreed or consented with it or not, the ideas of Descartes are very, very, a different one, as well as they are very innovative in their nature. They are very innovative, very creative, and very not only in the field of philosophy. Basically, Descartes developed a method of studying different things, the phenomenon, the objects, and similarly the clarification of subjectiveness and consciousness is also part of it. What he says, that I think, therefore I am. That is very famous dictum of Descartes. So Descartes, and similarly in the 16th, 17th century, there are two very important, significant political philosophers. One is Thomas Hobbes, his Leviathan, and another one is John Locke. He is also from England, similarly from Thomas Hobbes. So in 17th and 18th century onwards, there is a movement which is named as Enlightenment. So Rousseau and Voltaire and many other French, German, and English scholars and writers, I read them, and even the political events like Industrial Revolution, French Revolution, American Revolution. And after that, the German tradition again. Germans are very genius people, and especially in the field of philosophy, they have a lot of contribution that they have given. So Immanuel Kant, his critique, then the Hegelian concept, the idealism of Hegel, similarly Fichte, his nationalism and German superiority and these types of things, even the science of knowledge, a very famous contribution. Even Schelling. So these German philosophers and even Romanticists, I read them. The age of Romanticism was started. Another very influential, one of the most influential person of the German school is Karl Marx. I read him in a very critical way. I tried to understand him and to grasp the ideas in a very not just to follow them or just to read them, but to investigate them with a little bit criticism. And criticism means that when you see, when you ponder upon the positive aspects as well as the things which are not compatible according to you. So drawbacks and the positive characteristics, when they are analyzed, it is criticism. So in 19th century, another German philosopher, Nietzsche, that is basically a Nietzsche. In English is Nietzsche. Here in Pakistan, he is pronounced as Nietzsche. Though there are a lot of things in his books, like Genealogy of Morals and Thus Spoke Zarathustra, his novel. There are a lot of things which are objectionable, but even then, the style of his writing is very interesting. After this age, then the 20th century, at the dawn of the 20th century, there are some Western scholars or philosophers like Sartre and Martin Heidegger, even Husserl, Edmund Husserl, and these types of people that I have read extensively, and I tried to I tried to go into the depth of the ideas and their refinement that are produced. And even after that, the critical theories and critical approaches, and in the field of linguistic philosophy, the people are like Derrida, which is also called as deconstructivism or postmodernism. So Derrida, Lyotard, Foucault, these are the people that I read in the philosophy. So it can be said that 2,000 or 3,000 years of the traditions of philosophy, and even the Eastern, like the Indian Buddha and the concept of the six schools of Hinduism, even Confucianism, Taoism, these are the Eastern concepts that I tried to conduct a sort of comparison of the East and the Western intellect. So this is the journey basically, which is consisted of many years. I have given these years to these philosophers to get their ideas.
Ikhlas bhai, in a nutshell, what is philosophy and what are its problems?
In a very precise way that we can look towards the philosophy or the philosophization. Philosopher is basically a person who tries to investigate the phenomenon or the existence by conducting a sort of rational as well as the emotional explanation. From Greeks to the Germans, a long history of philosophy, and people even like Bertrand Russell and modern philosophers as well. What I have found in the philosophers, that there are basically three main areas in which the philosophers conduct their research. The first is human psychology, that what is human personality? What are the basic characteristics of human thought processes, its psyche, even its social psychic determinants and factors. This is a sort of effort by the philosophers to deal with human psychology, human psyche, to study the human mind, how he or she thinks, what is the role of imagination, what is the importance and significance of reasoning faculty, what are the limitations of reason or rationality, what rationality in itself is intrinsically, what is the role of rationality in the development of the human mind, collective human mind, or the collective self. Another area of the philosophy, the second one, is the epistemology. Epistemology is basically a term which means the study of knowledge, in which almost all major schools of philosophy they try to understand that what the knowledge is. Is there anything which is called as knowledge? Is the knowledge possible by the senses or by the rationality? Sense impressions are reliable or not? These are the basic questions. And another concept is empiricism, like Francis Bacon, persons like him, and even David Hume. I read his books, and very different ideas he produced. Even he inspired the persons like Immanuel Kant. So empirical side of the knowledge, these are the things which are investigated in this concept which is called as epistemology. And the third field or the area of interest in the philosophy is the cosmology. Cosmology, or sometimes it is also termed as ontology or teleology, etc. Ontology means the reality of existence, and teleology means the objective or the purpose of something or the human life. In cosmology, basically, the philosophers are in the search to know that what is the actual meaning of cosmos, this universe, how it is come about, how it is, whether it is forever, eternal, or it is designed by the highest wisdom or God or divine power. So these are the basic three categories in which the philosophy deals with. As far as the problems of the philosophy are concerned, a very important and significant thing in this regard that I feel, I have been feeling whenever I have been in search of these ideas, in the study of these ideas, I feel that most of the philosophers, they make the source of experiment of their own ideas, their own mind, their own existence, which is quite good, but they have been in a cage. They have limited themselves by denying the other sources. Especially I'm giving the reference, or I am pointing out towards the prophetic traditions, the religious and revealed traditions, it seems to be that they were not ready to accept these ideas which are given by the prophets. And sometimes they have stolen these ideas, but they are not ready to accept it, which is very biased, subjective, and prejudicial. Even the Christian philosophers, there was the age of theology when the Bible has been a source of inspiration for the Christian philosophers, but after Renaissance, this concept was diminished or lessened, decreased. And this is a big question on the philosophers, that when you are going to conduct a research on the very big ideas of the universe, how you can deny these important traditions of different civilizations like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Confucianism, Hinduism, Buddhism. So they have been, as a whole, there may be some exceptions, but as a whole, they have been very critical, very skeptic, very agnostic towards these religious traditions. People like Nietzsche and even people like David Hume and a lot of other people, what they wrote in their different theses that they produced. So it seems that there are a lot of limitations. They feel the limitations of rationality, but even then, sometimes, as Francis Bacon says, that this is a problem of human beings, that they make a lot of idols to be worshipped, like tribal idols, social idols. So philosophers, they also built some of the idols for themselves to worship. And sometimes even the concepts that they produce, like the concept of divinity or the God, that is not actually God. What they say is normally, generally, what I have analyzed, that even their concept of God is not a divine one, that is a creation of their own mind. They themselves produced their God. They made their God by themselves. This is very unfortunate. We must be very open-minded, and we must take the other things in our investigation. This is actually a true epistemological approach.